Welcome to The Backstory, a podcast from the North Dakota News Cooperative that takes an in-depth look at the stories we're reporting for you. I'm Sabrina Halvorson, CEO of the North Dakota News Cooperative. Joining me is Michael Standaert, our lead reporter. So the story we're talking about today is titled USDA Upheavals Brings Uncertainty to Farmers and Rural Communities. And Michael, to start off, this was originally part of the story that we talked about last time, but they ended up being two big stories. And so you broke them into two separate stories. So tell me a little bit about what you learned through this process about what's going on with the USDA because of funding freezes and layoffs and all of the things that have been going on through our federal government.
So there's been multiple programs impacted. There's several that have been local food purchase assistance program, food for schools and childcare program. Those have been terminated. There's been several that have been where funds have been frozen. So there's a lot of uncertainty whether those will go forward. With the terminations, people we spoke with, the Great Plains Food Bank was a participant in that local food purchase assistance program, and they worked with farmers and growers and ranchers to get some of this food to schools and help with food insecurity. So those are a couple of the programs that have been terminated and with impacts community-wide and for farmers as well.
When we're talking about USDA, people tend to automatically think of farmers, but this is affecting far more than farmers. We're talking about programs that provide food to some of the most needy people in our state. We will now see less food being available to these people because of these programs that have been canceled, correct?
Yes. And another aspect to that is like the local food for schools and childcare program. That's trying to encourage the purchase of more local food sources from farmers here in North Dakota that go to schools. And there are these local, buy local programs, things like that. But this was a way to leverage federal funding to greatly increase that and helps cover the costs for purchasing some of those things.
Yeah, it was one of those programs that was a win-win program. You're feeding people who need it, you're helping schools out with healthy food, but then also it does go back to the local farmer because that's where the food is being purchased from. We're not buying food from several states away that's being trucked in. That money is staying here in North Dakota. But again, that was a federally funded program and it was one that was cut. So you talked with a couple of different groups for this article. Another group that you talked with is the Foundation for Agricultural and Rural Resource Management and Sustainability. It's a mouthful, but for short, they go by FARMS. What was some of the things that the FARMS executive director said?
Yes, they're almost entirely funded by USDA grants, so they're going to be particularly impacted by these freezes, whether that freeze eventually gets unfrozen. It's a question that they have. They've had to cancel one large project, but for some of these things they've been working on for a year, 2 years, already establishing relationships with communities and farmers and this sort of thing to build local food systems.
There was talk also about funds for programs, USDA programs like the Climate Smart Commodity Program, the Rural Energy Assistance Program, which is also called REAP, CSP, which is the Conservation Stewardship Program, and EQIP, or the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So these are all USDA programs that help farmers update their farming practices in one way or another. And a lot of those programs lost funding as well. Were you able to talk with any farmers who may be affected by these?
So the Conservation Stewardship Program and the EQIP, the CSP and EQIP, apparently those are all going forward and being approved. So I know there was concern about whether that would happen here. There was some disruptions in other states, but those are going forward. Some of these the REAP program and the Climate Smart Commodities program, those freezes are still ongoing. They don't know if those will go through. I spoke with Josh Anderson, who is a Walsh County District Conservation Manager, and he's been managing this $5 million cost share program with 150 to 200 farmers that was supposed to be rolled out this next year for planting multi-species cover crops and trying to incorporate livestock grazing into cropland to improve soil health, which is something that's been an issue in the Midwest for several generations now. We've lost so much topsoil. By using these practices that farmers had used for centuries, they hope to help reestablish soil or reduce the loss of soil and kind of regenerate some of the soil. But their program has been frozen. So even if the funding does eventually come through, they're probably going to be set back another year because they can't rely on funds that aren't there to start planting cover crops this spring and summer. Again, this is a project that people have worked on for quite some time to get going. One of the things that several people had raised is this is not a very efficient way to go about things, because people have been doing a lot of work on these projects thinking they were going to come through. They've applied, they've been approved, they have contracts. There's a lot of questions about how legal this is too. Those are just a few of the programs that have been impacted. I should say another one, USDA's Agricultural Research Service staff, some of those people had been let go, and a lot of those people had been critical in monitoring wheat and sugar beet diseases. Apparently, most of them have been hired back, but there's still some uncertainty about those positions going forward. And another farmer I spoke with had said these are critical for keeping up on the ever-changing wheat and other diseases that impact farmers in North Dakota.
That again, reporter Michael Standaert discussing his article, USDA Upheavals Bring Uncertainty to Farmers and Rural Communities. You can read that story on our website at newscoopnd.org or in one of our local newspaper partners. For the North Dakota News Cooperative, I'm Sabrina Halvorson. This has been The Backstory.